I'm going to use two of the little wood crate boxes from the Dollar Tree, one of the wood trays, and two of the new wood easel kits that they have at the Dollar Tree. I wanted to try these. They have a little bit more pieces than the old kit. And look, they even have hardware. Like they have like chains, cup hooks, and stuff like that, which I'm going to save those and use those for another DIY for sure. But I'm going to use the screws and the little wing nuts to help put this together. I'm going to use two kits and I'm going to use them in a little bit different way. In my last spring craft video, I made a ladder plant stand that you guys really loved using the more traditional easels that they had that were already put together. But these are the new kits. They come with all of these pieces like this. So I thought I could come up with a new design for a ladder plant stand by using one of the long pieces, that is the stand, and then one of the slanted pieces from the easel like that, and putting them together instead of how you traditionally put it together. Now, the only problem with that is it does make your screw a little bit too long, but you know what? It's going to be on the back, but I think that that's going to make it a lot stronger to actually use the hardware at the top instead of the hot glue. So we're going to go with it. So as you can see, I am doing the mitered one, the one that's kind of got the slant on it on one side, and pairing that with the straight stand piece like that. So one is straight and one is slanted to the side like that. So the slanted part can come out in the front like that. And then we can make some shelves using the rest of the wood pieces that come with it. To hold those, I found two of the little wood crates from the Dollar Tree. I'm just going to attach them together with some hot glue to make a larger crate for the bottom of our plant stand, a large flower box. And then I also found one of the wood boxes from the Dollar Tree that is the same width, which is really important, but it's shorter than the two put together like that. So that can be the top flower box for the stand. We're only going to have two shelves on this. But the first thing I'm going to do is paint everything. I wanted everything to be white, and I thought it would be easier to paint all of the pieces now before I put it all together. This is what I'm thinking, using the smaller wood pieces like this to make little shelves here that we can then put the flower boxes onto. I'm going to need little ledges here for the top too, so I'm going to use my other slanted piece like this, and then I can cut down a couple of pieces of that for the top shelf. So I'm pretty much using most of the wood from the two kits like this. So I'm just going to have to cut that piece down to size. Doesn't need to be that long, just I want to do a little bit longer than the flower boxes that I'm going to sit on it. And I am just going to go ahead and cut those down to size now so I can get four pieces like that. You could also add wood planks or something like that on these and have wood shelves on this ladder stand instead of adding the flower boxes like I do. That would totally work. So I went ahead and measured about how long I want these to be. And I don't know what I was thinking with that first line. I think I want it to be like right about here. So I'm going to cut all four of those the same length. I'm so glad that they have been carrying these at all of my Dollar Trees, these little easel kits. They come in a box, and my stores have been having them down on the bottom shelf if you're looking for them in the crafter square. I didn't like that some of those pieces had holes in them, two of the pieces that were the more traditional pieces to go straight across. So I just filled those in with a little spackle so you won't be able to see that in my design. Now I did make a little bit of a mistake with this one. I thought that it would be easier to paint all the pieces before I put it together. And I guess that it is because I'm going to be painting everything white. So I need to paint every surface of all the different pieces here of our ladder plat stand white. The only problem with that is when you're constructing things with hot glue, I use a Gorilla Glue hot glue and it is really strong, but it's not that strong when you paint a surface first. The wood products from the Dollar Tree always construct so much better when you use hot glue before the paint. So if you are recreating this, what I'm suggesting is the stand itself, don't paint or stain until after you put that together. These wood crates like this and the wood box, definitely go ahead and paint and stain those if you want to, because that's not going to cause you any problems in the design. But the easel part, I shouldn't have painted first, and I did have a few problems with that when I went to put it together about strength of the plant stand, and I will show you how I fixed that as well. So I just painted everything white, and for colors that I use a lot like that, I have found that you can get those larger bottles of apple barrel paint like that from Amazon. So I've started getting some larger sizes of those. They're just as cheap on Amazon as they are at Walmart, I believe. and you get, Amazon Prime shipping, so that works out really well. So I'll try to add some of those larger bottles to my Amazon shop, linked in the description of my video as well, since I've kind of switched to some of those. And as you can see, I went over everything. So I went over all of the sides of the little wood planks, all of the sides of the easel, and top, bottom, inside, outside, everything of the flower boxes, so everything can be white. Now, let's start putting this together. This step is kind of optional. I do have a miter scissor, so I'm just going to cut this off, a little bit of a slant there on that front piece, just so it will sit a little bit better. But I think it would work without that too. I just trimmed that off like that because I think that's going to help the design a little bit. And then what I need to do is put our little braces, one on the front and one on the back. This is where I came into the problem with painting it because it just wasn't as strong gluing the painted wood to each other. And so I did have to get a little bit more aggressive with that. What I did was I went up about 1.5 inches on mine. I'm just going to mark that off where I want to put my first row. And I have the slanted part up, as you can see, and the flat part is down on the ground. I used hot glue to attach this part together. I think this would have worked if I would have constructed it when it was raw wood, because I did do that with my other ladder plant stand, just using hot glue, and everything was super strong. But I'll show you what happens with this one. So I go up a 1.5 inches here on the slanted side as well, attaching that with hot glue. And I think the paint just interferes, with the bond a little bit there when you're gluing wood to wood. You could always use some wood glue if you got lots of time to let that set up. And I'm just testing that out to make sure that my bin is going to fit, and that's when it started falling apart already. So I knew that there was a problem. So to fix that, I have some little nails that I got from the Dollar Tree, kind of the medium-sized ones that are long enough to go through the brace piece and only partially through the easel so they won't be seen. Now, I should have drilled holes on these, and I did get a little bit of split wood on these. They're going to be inside the stand, and so I think I can fix it, but if you're going to nail yours, you probably should drill holes. I was just being lazy and didn't want to break out the drill on those. But what I did was I started the nails through them all the way through where they're poking out the back just a little bit, so it'd be easier to start these and nail those into the frame exactly where I was hot gluing them before. And I'm only going to do it for the bottom row here. I think that's going to provide enough structure. And for the other reason is I can't really get my hammer in between the stand to be able to hide the nails like that on the top. And I think it turned out plenty stable this way. So definitely learn from my mistakes and construct yours and then paint it or stain it. Or you could even leave it raw wood. I did think about that. And I am going to nail this other side on as well. And so much stronger using the nails on the bottom and the screws on the top. Now let's try this out again, putting our tray in there. I think that's going to work. I can have my second flower box up here towards the top, trying to figure out kind of where I want to put those. Right about there. And again, not enough room to nail these, and I really don't think that that part's necessary. So I'm just going to attach mine with hot glue, trying to maintain the same width here of our little ladder plant stand. And since I couldn't nail it, I used lots of hot glue. I let the hot glue set up, and then I also added hot glue on top and even a little bit under, but you're not going to be able to see it. So I think that we can hide that. And let's put one here on the other side as well. The one on the front is going to be slanted a little bit because of the slanted wood coming out of the front. So it's not going to sit directly on there, the wood box, but I think we can make it work. So I just reinforced that with some extra hot glue. And I am going to use a little bit of spackle to fix the splitting on the wood that I got from nailing into those thin pieces of wood. I guess that's kind of inevitable if you're going to nail into those without drilling first. So let's go ahead and start planning to put this together. I'm going to add hot glue on the back and on the front. On the front, I kind of do it more towards the very top since, again, that piece is a little bit slanted. And I'm going to hot glue these in place. Now, it's not necessary to hot glue these in place, but I thought it would also help with the stability of the project. And just showing you there that that top corner is where you're going to want to add your hot glue for the front piece, again, because it is slanted. So let's go ahead and put the top flower box on too. Gonna attach that with hot glue the same exact way and gluing these in place. And it turned out so cute. It's a different design than I did before, but I love it. I think it's really cute. I just touched up the top there with a little bit more paint. I also painted my nails there on the front just so they kind of blend in a little bit. And even having longer screws like that coming out of the back, it doesn't really bother me. But you could always use a shorter screw for that or hot glue that together if you wanted to. Now it's time to fill it up with florals. I found some really great spring florals at Dollar Tree today. They have so many pretty ones this year. I am just going to start by filling them up with floral foam. My top box is a lot shorter than the crates on the bottom, so the foam pieces from the Dollar Tree are a little too thick. So what I'm going to do is just cut them in half and just piece everything together. I love cutting this foam with the little pool noodle cutter from the Dollar Tree. It works really well, but really any kind of knife I think would probably work. But I don't have to worry about cutting my silicone mat, which I have tended to do in the past. These are the flowers that we're going to use. They are called wisteria, and I found them in pink and purple today, and they are like a droopy flower like this. They are kind of making my foam come out though, so I quickly learned that I'm gonna have to glue all my foam down into my little flower boxes so that when I droop the flowers down, I'm not gonna be pulling the foam out while I do that. I thought it'd be really pretty to mix the pinks and the purples together. So what I'm going to do is just shorten these. I'm cutting them off really short there on the wire because I want them to bend and kind of go over the edges of it like that. And I'm going to leave the leaves on them if they have them, just add a little bit more greenery. I haven't added any moss or anything yet because I wasn't sure how thick this was going to be. I'll go ahead and add all of that later. But as you can see, I'm just kind of staggering them out. Like I did 3 pink across, 2 purple in the middle, and then I'll reverse that here on the bottom. I started there with the floral box on the bottom. I have both boxes, but I want to blend them together to make that look like one larger flower box. And so I just keep adding these, alternating them. I do want them coming out of the sides, wherever. They don't droop as much as the greenery that I used on my other flower box DIY. But what I found is if you put them into the foam a little bit at an angle and kind of bend them down a little bit, they droop way better because they're not real flexible, like they're not wired or anything like that. And I really wanted that cascading look of flowers going down my flower box. So I just kept adding and arranging these till it looked really full and beautiful for spring. And I love the pink and the purple colors together. I think that looks so pretty. And then for the moss, I'm using some reindeer moss. I wanted a bright green for spring. And so I'm going to use a package of that and fill in any areas where you might see some of that floral foam there on our flower box. It's almost done. I'm going to add a little bit more of the reindeer moss down here at the bottom. And this project turned out great. I love the ladder plant stand. The only thing is I definitely shouldn't have painted it before I started putting it together because I think hot glue would have worked. But this is how it turned out. Isn't it so pretty? I love it. Now, if you are going to be using yours outdoors, you might want to use a stronger glue, of course, or you might want to nail all of your pieces on for your brace supports. But I think it's really colorful. This is what it looks like from the front, our little ladder plant stand. And this is kind of showing you a side angle so you can see how it works. So you have your straight edge there on the back again. You have your slanted edge coming out of the front. I have 2 sizes flower boxes. I had to construct the one on the bottom to make it bigger, but what I did is when I bought my little wood bins at the Dollar Tree, definitely made sure that they were the same width.